some ways in which you could improve your emotional intelligence, where emotional intelligence means something more like understanding rather than something more like IQ. So one way is to keep an emotion diary. So if you want to do that, you make a form and you say, all right, you have little spaces for what the emotion was, how long it lasted, how intense it was, what actually happened to cause it, who was there, who was responsible, what was this urge that you felt, what your thoughts were, what it was you couldn't understand about it. And as I mentioned before, this technique is probably as important as anything else in this very successful therapy called cognitive behaviour therapy. And quite often, I mean, I have worked as a therapist, I don't now, you can give a person this who's spent a lot of time fairly crippled with anxiety, and then they get a grip on the way in which certain kinds of events trigger off anxiety, and if you can get to that before it really gets going, then you're in a better position to stop it. Or if you can, once you've got it out there, you can start to see some of its silliness. Right? So that business of giving yourself some distance on it both allows you to recognise some aspects of your emotional life and also allows you to get a bit of a grip on it. A Belgian psychologist called Bernard Rimet has found that if you've had an emotion which you can still remember at the end of the day, then you're 90% likely to have told someone else about it. So what's going on here? Well, emotions are often puzzling. They tell us something about ourselves. They tell us something about the way that we're interacting with the world. And if you talk to someone about it, you can, as it were, again, get a better sense of it and of who you are, its acceptability to someone else. One of the jokes Bernard makes is if you confide one of your emotions to somebody else and it has an emotional effect on them, for instance, did you know that this mutual friend had done something frightful? And you wonder whether that friend is actually going to tell anybody else this confidence. You can stop wondering. If it's made them anxious, they're going to tell someone emotional. They're going to tell someone else about it too. So it's one of the things we do with our emotions is telling other people about it. And it's extremely important because it's this kind of emotional confiding that builds social networks. And there's a huge amount of evidence that being a member of a social network is absolutely essential both for physical health and mental health. So I'm giving you some things, as I say, for which there's very strong research evidence. One of the very best known and best authenticated results in modern psychology is a result by Jamie Pennebaker, who's shown that if you have people, and he's done this on a huge range of people, people in prison, undergraduates, everybody across the whole range, if you give people the task of writing about something that is emotionally important to them, you only have to do it for as little as 20 minutes a day for 3 days, then two kinds of things happen. One of them is your physical health improves. So his first experiments, he did this on undergraduates, and he counted the number of times that they saw the doctor in the next 6 months. It actually went down as compared with, writing about what you did on your holiday or something like that. But it's a very, very solid result. And the other thing that happens is if you measure, there's various indices of the immune system, and they improve as well. So very physical kinds of measures. And here's something that I feel quite closely associated with at the moment. We've got a little research group here in Toronto, Maya Jikic, Raymond Ma and me. And what we've found is that reading fiction as compared with reading non-fiction is associated with improved empathy. So So you actually do get to understand other people better. And we've got some quite good measures showing that this transfers to situations in ordinary life. We've also found that reading a literary story as compared with the same information in a non-fiction format allows you to change yourself a bit. Not very much. And in our group of people, not all in the same way, because each person in fact changes somewhat in their own way. So what's actually happening when you're reading fiction is you're identifying with someone, you're